Seventh History, Chapter 6, Devotional Part to the Divine. Okay, wait a second. Okay. You may have seen people perform rituals of the worship or singing bhajan, kirtan, qawwali, or repeating the name of the God in silence, and notice that some of them are moved to tears. Such instant devotion or love of God is the legacy of various kinds of the bhakti and the Sufi movement that have evolved in the 8th century. The idea of the Supreme God before last kingdom emerged. Different groups of people worship their own gods and the goddess as people were brought together through their growth of town, trade, and empire. New ideas began to develop. Before the last kingdom emerged, different groups of the people worship their own god and goddess. As people were brought together through the growth of town, trade, and empire, new ideas began to develop. The idea that all living things pass through the countless cycles of the birth and rebirth, performing good deeds and bad come to the widely accepted. Similarly, the idea that all human beings are not equal, even at birth, gained around during this period. The belief that social privileges came from the birth in a noble family or the high caste, the subject of many learned text. Many people were uneasy with such ideas and running to the teachings of the Buddhas and the Jainas, according to which it was possible to overcome the social differences and break the cycle of the rebirth through the personal effort. Others felt attracted to the idea of the Supreme God who could deliver humans from such bondage if approached with devotion or bhakti. The idea advocated in the Bhagavad Gita grew in popularity in the early centuries of the Common Era. Okay. Beginning of Bhakti, the worship of certain deities which became a central feature of the later Hinduism gained in importance. The deities included the Shiva, Vishnu, and the goddess such as the Durga. These deities were worshipped through the Bhakti, an idea that became very popular at this time. Bhakti generally understood as a person's devotion to his or her chosen deity. Anybody, whether rich or the poor, belonging to the so-called high or low caste, man or woman, could follow the idea of Bhakti. The idea of Bhakti is present in Bhagavad Gita, a sacred book of Hindu. Shiva, Vishnu, Durga as supreme deities came to be worshipped through elaborate rituals. At the same time, the god and the goddess worshipped in different areas came to be identified with Shiva, Vishnu, or Durga. In the process, local myth and the legend became part of the Puranic stories, and method of worship recommended in the Puranas were introduced into the local cult. Eventually, the Puranas laws also laid down that it was possible for devotees to receive the grace of the god regardless of the caste status. The idea of the Bhakti became so popular that even the Buddhists and the Jain adopted this belief. A page from the South Indian manuscript of the Bhagavad Gita. New kind of the Bhakti in South India. The 7th to 9th century saw the emergence of the new religious movement led by the Nayanar, the saint devoted to Vishnu, Shiva, Alvars, saint devoted to Vishnu, who come from all the castes, including those considered untouchable like the Pulayar and the Panars. They were sharply critical of the Buddhists and the Jainas and preached ardent love of Vishnu or Shiva as the path to salvation. They drew upon the ideals of love and heroism as found in the Sangam literature, the earliest example of Tamil literature composed during the early centuries of the Common Era, and blended them with the values of the Bhakti. The Nayanars and Alvars went from place to place composing exquisite poems in praise of the deities enshrined in the village they visited and set them to music. Nayanars and Alvar, there were 63 Nayanars who belonged to different caste backgrounds such as the potters and untouchable workers, peasant, hunter, soldier, Brahmins and chief. The best known among them were the Appar, Sambandar, Sundarar, Mani Kavasagar. There are two sets of compilations of their song. There are two sets of compilations of the song, Devram and Tiruvakakam. There were 12 Alvars, 63 Nayanars, 12 Alvars who came from equally divergent background. The best known being the Peri Yelvar, his daughter Andal. Peri Yelvar, his daughter Andal, Tonda, Radi, Poddi, Alvar and Namalvar. Their songs were compiled in Devya Prabandham. कितने अलवर थे? 12, who came from equally divergent background. The best known being the Peri Yelvar, उनकी daughter Andal, फिर आता है Tondari di Podi Alvar and Namalvar. Their songs were compiled in Devya Prabandham. Between the 10th and the 12th century, the Chola and the Patna king built elaborate temples around many of the shrines featured by the saint poets, strengthening the link between the Bhakti tradition and the temple worship. This was also the time when their poems were compiled. Besides hagiography is the writing of saint life. What is hagiography? That was the writing of saint life. Hagiographies or besides hagiographies or religious biographies of the Alvars and Nayanars were also composed. Also today we use these texts as a source of writing history of the Bhakti tradition. This is a composition of the Manika Vasagar into my vile body of flesh you came as though it was a temple of gold and soothed me wholly and saved me. A Lord of grace, O gem most pure, sorrow and birth and death and illusion you took from me and set me free. O bliss, O light, I have taken refuge in you and now I can be parted from you. Philosophy and the Bhakti. Shankara, one of the most influential philosophers of India, was born in Kerala in the 8th century, मतलब 700 कुछ में. He was an advocate of Advaita on the doctrine of oneness of the individual soul. individual soul की oneness of individual soul and the supreme god, which is the ultimate reality. He taught that the Brahman, the only or ultimate reality, was formless and without. He taught he taught that Brahman, the only or ultimate reality, was formless and without any attribute. He considered the world around us to be an illusion or Maya and preached renunciation of the world and adoption of the path of knowledge to understand the true nature of the Brahman and attain salvation. Ramanuja, to be an illusion. He considered the world around us to be an illusion of Maya and preached renunciation of the world and adopted the path of knowledge to understand the true nature of Brahman and attained salvation. Ramanuja was born in Tamil Nadu in the 11th century. He was deeply influenced by the Alvar. According to him, the best means of attaining his salvation was through the intense devotion to Vishnu. Vishnu, in his group, grace helped the devotee to attain the bliss of union with him. Vishnu, in his grave, helped the devotees to attain the bliss of union with him. He propounded the doctrine of Vishisht Advaita. Ramanuja, Tamil Nadu, 11th century. Alvar, Vishnu. He promoted the doctrine of Vishisht Advaita or qualified oneness in that the soul, even when united with the Supreme God, remained distinct. Ramanuja's doctrine greatly inspired the new strand of Bhakti which developed in North India subsequently. The Ryan found more about ideas of Sankara and Ramanuja. Basavanna's Veer Saivism, we noted earlier that the connection between the Tamil Bhakti movement and the temple worship is internally to the reaction that is the best represented in the Veer Shaiva movement initiated by the Basavanna and his companion like Allama Prabhu and Akka Mahadevi. This movement began in Karnataka in mid-12th century. The Veer Shaivas argued strongly for the equality of all human beings against the Brahminical ideas about the caste and the treatment of the woman. They were also against all forms of rituals and the idol worship. ठीक है, बासवन्नास वीर शैविज्म तमिलनाडु, इनको असिस्ट किसने किया था? अल्लामा प्रभु, अक्का महादेवी, मिड 12th century. They also again all forms of rituals and the idol worship. फिर वीर शैवा वचन की बात करते हैं. वचन और saying about attributed to Basavana. The rich will make temples for Shiva. What shall I, a poor man, do? My legs are pillars, the body the shrine, the head a cupola of gold. Listen, O Lord of the meeting river, things standing shall fall, but the moving ever shall stay. The Vaishnava poet saint of Maharashtra such as the Jananeshwar, Namdev, Eknath were devotees of Lord Vitthal. Devotion around Lord Vitthal gave rise to the Varkari sect, which may lay emphasis on an annual pilgrimage to Pandharpur. The cult of Vitthal emerged as a powerful mode of devotion and was very popular amongst the people. ठीक है, एक मिनट फिर से देख लो. वैष्णव पोर्ट सेन महाराष्ट्र, जनाश्वर, नामदेव, एकनाथ, तुकाराम, लॉर्ड विठल, Varkari sect, pilgrimage to Pandharpur. The cult of Vitthal emerged as a powerful mode of devotion. Okay. Bhakti movement in the Deccan from the 13th to 17th century. Maharashtra saw a great number of saint poets whose songs in simple Marathi continued to inspire people. The most important among them were Gyaneshwar, Namdev, Eknath, Tukaram, as well as women like Sakhubai and the family of Chokka Mela, who belonged to the untouchable Mahar caste. Family of Chokka Mela belonged to the untouchable Mahar caste. This regional tradition of the Bhakti focused on the Vitthal, a form of Vishnu temple in Pandharpur, as well as on the notion of a personal God residing in the hearts of the people. These saint poets rejected all forms of ritualism, outward display of the piety and the social differences based on the birth. In fact, they even rejected the idea of renunciation and preferred to live with their families, earning their livelihood like any other person, while humbly serving the fellow human being in need. A new humanist idea emerged as they insisted that bhakti lay in sharing others' pain. As the famous Gujarati saint Narsi Mehta said, they are Vaishnavas who understand the pain of others. Narsi Mehta. Questioning the social order, this is an Abhang Marathi devotional poem of Saint Tukaram. He who identifies with the battered and the beaten, mark him as a saint, for God is with him. He who identifies with the battered and the beaten. He holds every forsaken man close to his heart. He treats a slave as his own son. Says Tuka, I won't be tired to repeat again, such a man is God in person. This is a one from Chokamela's son. You made us low caste, why don't you face that fact, great Lord? Our whole life left over food to eat. You should be ashamed of this. You have eaten in our home. How can you deny it? Choka's son, Carmela asked, why did you give me life? Nathpanthis, Siddhas and the Yogis, a number of religious groups that emerged during the period criticize the ritual and other aspects of the conventional religion. ठीक है, कुछ कन्वेंशनल रिलीजन के कुछ एस्पेक्ट थे, रिचुअल्स बहुत फॉलो करते थे, सोशल ऑर्डर यूजिंग सिंपल लॉजिकल आर्ग्यूमेंट. अमंग देम वर द नाथपंथी. Siddhacharas and yogis. They advocated renunciation of the world. To them, the path to salvation lay in the meditation on the formless ultimate reality and the realization of oneness with it. To achieve this, they advocated intense training of the mind and body through practices like yoga, asana, breathing exercise, meditation. These groups became particularly popular among the low caste. Their criticism of conventional religion created the ground for devotional religion to become popular force in the northern India. This is a fireside gathering of ascetic Islam and Sufism. The Sant had much in common with the Sufi, so much so that it is believed that they adopted many ideas of each other. Sufis were Muslim mystics. They rejected religiosity and emphasized love and devotion to God and compassion towards all fellow human beings. Islam propagated Aztec monotheism or submission to one God in the 8th and the 9th century. Religious scholars developed different aspects of the holy law, Shariat, and theology of Islam. While the religion of the Islam gradually became more complex, Sufis provided it with a national dimension that favored a more personal devotion to God. The Sufis often rejected the elaborate ritual, the codes of behavior demanded by the Muslim religious scholar. They sought union with the God, much as a lover seeks his beloved, with a disregard for the world. Like the saint poet, the Sufis too composed poems expressing their feelings, and rich literature in prose, including anecdote and fable, developed around them. Among the great Sufis of Central Asia, they were Ghazali, Rumi, and Sadi. Like the Nathpanthis, Siddhas, and Yogis, the Sufis too believe that the heart can be trained to look at the world in a different way. They develop elaborate methods of training using chikr, chanting of a name of sacred formula, contemplation, sama singing, rag dancing, discussion of parable, breath control, etc., under the guidance of a master or peer. Thus emerged the silsila, a spiritual genealogy of Sufi teacher, each following a slightly different method, the tariqah of instruction and the ritual practice. Thus emerged the silsila. Silsila is a spiritual genealogy of the Sufi teacher. Emerged silsila. Silsila was a spiritual genealogy of the Sufi teacher. Each followed a slightly different. Thus emerged the silsila, a spiritual genealogy of the Sufi teacher. Each following a slightly different method of tariqah of instruction and a ritual practice. Mystic in ecstasy. In Kashmir, the Rishi order of Sufism flourished in the 15th and the 16th century. This order was established by the Sheikh Nuruddin Wali, also known as Sheikh Nuruddin Wali, also known as Noon the Rishi, and had a deep impact on the life of the people of Kashmir. A number of shrines dedicated to Rishi saint can be found in many parts of Kashmir. A large number of Sufis from Central Asia settled in the Hindustan from the 11th century onward. This process was strengthened with the establishment of Delhi Sultanate when several. This is a place from Ministry for Quran, Deccan, late 15th century. Hospice, house of rest for travelers, especially one kept by a religious order. Okay. Establishment of Delhi Sultanate when several major Sufi centers developed all over the subcontinent. The Chishti silsila was among the most influential. It had a long line of teachers like Khwaja Manuddin Chishti of Ajmer, Qutbuddin Bakhtiyar Kaki of Delhi, Baba Fari of Panjib, Khwaja Nizamuddin Auliya of Delhi, and Band Nawaz Gisu Daraj of Gulbarg. The Sufi masters held their assemblies in their kankahas or the hospices. Devotees of all the description, including the members of the royalty, nobility, ordinary people, flocked to these kankahas. They discussed the spiritual matters, sought the blessing of the saint in solving their worldly problems, or simply attended the music and the dance session. Often people attributed Sufi masters with miraculous power. They could relieve others. Miraculous power. They could relieve others of their illness and trouble. The tomb or dargah of a Sufi saint became a place of pilgrimage to which thousands of people of all faiths thronged. Devotees of all backgrounds visited a Sufi shrine. Fun in the Lord. Jalaluddin Rumi was in a great 13th century Sufi poet from Iran who wrote in Persian. Jalaluddin Rumi, he was a 13th century Sufi poet. कहाँ से? Iran से. Who wrote in Persian. He was Jalaluddin Rumi, 13th century Sufi poet from Iran, wrote in Persian. He was not on the cross of the Christians. I went to the Hindu temples. In none of them was there any sign. He was not on the height or in the lowland. I went to the Kaaba of Makkah. He was not there. I asked him about him, Avicenna, the philosopher. He was beyond the range of Avicenna. I looked into in that his place. I saw him. He was in no other place. New religious development. This is Chaitanya Dev. He was a 16th century Bhakti saint from Bengal. He developed devotion to Krishna Radha. In this picture, you see a group of his followers engaged in ecstatic dancing and singing. New religious development in North India. The period after the 13th century saw a new wave of the Bhakti movement in North India. This was an age when Islam, Brahminical Hinduism, Sufism, various strands of the Bhakti, and the Nathpanthis, Siddhas, and Yogis influenced one another. News of the new kingdom was emerging. People were taking up new profession and finding new roles for themselves. Such people, especially craft person, peasant, traders, and laborer, they thronged to listen to these new saints and spread their ideas. Some of them, like Kabir, Baba Guru Nanak, rejected all orthodox religion. Others, like Tulsidas and Surdas, accepted existing belief and practice, but wanted to make these accessible to all. Tulsidas conceived of God in the form of Ram. Tulsidas' composition, the Ramcharitmanas, written in Avdi language used is important to both as an major bhakti saint and the regions associated with them. Oh my God. Okay, Guru Nanak 15th से 16th century. उसके बाद आते हैं आपके ये दिख रहा है जम्मू कश्मीर, हिमाचल प्रदेश, पंजाब, हरियाणा, राजस्थान 16 दादू, राजस्थान में थे दादू एंड मीराबाई भी यहीं पे थी. गुजरात में नरसिंह मेहता थे 15th सेंचुरी में. उसके बाद फिर उत्तर प्रदेश में 16th सेंचुरी में मीराबाई, 16th सेंचुरी, दादू 16th-17th सेंचुरी, और 15th-16 में गुरु नानक भी थे. 16th सेंचुरी में सूरदास भी थे. 15th-16 में संग्रादेव भी थे. यहाँ पे नॉर्थ ईस्ट में दिख रहा है. वेस्ट बंगाल में चैतन्य देव भी 15th-16 में ही थे. एकनाथ 16th सेंचुरी में थे. मीराबाई भी 16th सेंचुरी में. सूरदास भी 16th सेंचुरी में. तुकाराम 16th सेंचुरी. ज्ञानेश्वर 13th सेंचुरी में थे. नामदेव 13th-14th सेंचुरी में थे. रामदास 17th सेंचुरी में आंध्र प्रदेश में आए थे. बासवन्ना 12th सेंचुरी में आए थे. अब सबसे पहले तो अभी तक 12th आया बासवन्ना. फिर पुरंदरदास 15th-16th सेंचुरी में भी आए थे. तो 15th सेंचुरी में कौन सा हो गया आपके? गुरु नानक जी हो गए, शंकरादेव हो गए, और चैतन्य देव हो गए, नरसिंह मेहता हो गए, और यहाँ पे आप देखो ये है पुरंदरदास हो गया. नीचे देखो मनिका वासाका 9th सेंचुरी. रामानुज 11th-12th में आए थे. तो देखो 11th-12th में तो रामानुज आए थे. फिर नमलवार 9th सेंचुरी. द एसेंस ऑफ द शंकरादेव डिवोशन कम टू बी नोन एज एका शरण नाम धर्म. Eka Sharan Nam Dharma, supreme surrender to one. The teachings of the Sankradev were based on the Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavata Purana. He also encouraged the establishment of the Satra. ये हम शंकरदेव के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं. शंकरदेव पता है कहाँ पर थे? नॉर्थ ईस्ट में वो दिख रहा था आपको. उसके बाद फिर Bhagavad Purana. He also encouraged the establishment of the Satra or the monasteries for transmission of knowledge. His major compositions include Kirtan Ghosh. Okay, यहाँ पे देखो expression of his devotion as a literary work. Surdas was an ardent devotee of Krishna. His composition compiled in Sur Sagar, Sursavali, Sahitya Lahari, Krishna, Surdas. सब ऐसे हैं. सुर सागर, सुरसारावली and Sahitya Lahari. Also contemporary was the Sankaradev of Assam, late 15th century, who emphasized the devotion to Vishnu and composed poems and plays in Assamese. He began the practice of setting up Namgad or houses of recitation and prayer, a practice that continues today. The tradition also includes the saints like Dadu Dayal, Ravidas, Mirabai. Mirabai was a Rajput married into the royal family of Meva in the 16th century. Mirabai became a disciple of Ravidas. Ravidas की disciple थी. A saint from a caste considered untouchable. She was Ravidas. She was devoted to Krishna and composed innumerable bhajans expressing her intense devotion. Her songs also openly challenged the norms of Dhaparka and became popular with the masses in Rajasthan and Gujarat. Unique feature of most of the saints is that their work were composed in regional language and could be sung. They become immensely popular and were handed down orally from generation to generation. Usually the poorest, most deprived communities and the women transmitted their song, often adding their own experiences. Thus the songs as we have them today are as much a creation of the saint as of a generation of people who sang them. They have become a part of our living popular culture. An important contribution of the Bhakti saint was toward the development of music. जयदेव और बंगाल कंपोज गीत गोविंदा इन संस्कृत. जयदेव कहाँ के थे? बंगाल. इन्होंने गीत गोविंद लिखी थी संस्कृत में. Each song composed in a particular rag and adala. Significant impact that the saint had on music was the use of bhajan, kirtan and abhang. These songs which emphasized on the emotional experiences had a tremendous appeal to the common people. Beyond the Rana's play, this is a song composed by Mira. Rana ji, I have left you norms of shame and for all decorum of the princely life. I have left your time, and yet Rana, why have you kept up enmity against me? Rana, you gave me a cup of poison. I drank it laughing. Rana, I will not be destroyed by you, and yet Rana, why have you kept up enmity against me? Why you think Mirabai left the Rana's palace? Closer look, Kabir, who probably lived in the 15th-16th century. 15th-16th centuries, was one of the most influential saints. He was brought up in a family of Muslim Julaha or Viva settled in or near the city of Varanasi. We have a little relevant information about his life. We get to know of his ideas from a vast collection of verses called Sakhi or Part, said to have been composed by him and sung by wandering bhajan singers. Some of these were later collected and preserved in the Guru Granth Sahib, Panchwani and Bijak. Guru Granth Sahib, Panchwani, Bijak, in search of the true Lord. Here is a composition of Kabir. O Allah, Ram, present in all living being, have mercy on your servant. O Lord, why bump your head on the ground? Why bathe your body in water? You kill and you call yourself humble, but the vices you conceal. 24 times the Brahmins keep the Ekdasi fast, while the Qazi observes the Ramzan. Tell me, why does he set aside the 11th month to seek spiritual fruit in the 12th? Hari dwells in the east, they say, and the Allah resides in the west. Search for him in your heart, in the heart of you, oh, in the heart of your heart, there he dwells. Rahim Ram. Kabir working on loom weaver. So Kabir's teachings were based on a complete, indeed vehement rejection of the major religious tradition. His teachings openly ridiculed all forms of external worship of both Brahminical Hinduism and Islam, the preeminence of the priestly class and the caste system. The language of his poetry was a form of spoken Hindi, widely understood by ordinary people. He also sometimes used cryptic language, which is difficult to follow. Kabir believed in a formless supreme God and preached that the only path to salvation was through bhakti or devotion. Kabir drew his followers from among both Hindus and the Muslims. Baba Guru Nanak is a young man discussing with holy men. We know more about Baba Guru Nanak 1469 to 1539 than about Kabir, born at Talwandi and Kana Sahib in Pakistan. He travelled widely before establishing a center at Kartarpur. Dera Baba Nana on the He travelled widely before establishing a center at Kartarpur, जिसे कहते हैं डेरा बाबा नानक on the river Ravi. A regular worship that consisted of the singing of his own hymn was established there for his followers, irrespective of their former creed, caste or gender. His followers ate together in the common kitchen called langar, the sacred space thus created by the Baba Guru Nanak, also known as Dharmashal. It is known as Gurudwara. Before his death in 1539, Baba Guru Nanak appointed one of his followers as his successor. His name was Lehna, but he came to be known as Guru Angad, signifying that he was part of Baba Guru Nanak himself. Guru Angad compiled the composition of Baba Guru Nanak, to which he added his own in a new script known as Gurmukhi. The three successors of Guru Angad also wrote under the name of Nanak, and all their compositions were compiled by Guru Arjan, 1604. To this compilation were added the writing of the other figures like Sheikh Farid जी का लिखा था, शेख फरीद, कबीर, भगत नामदेव, गुरु तेग बहादुर. तो किसका किसका लिखा था? शेख फरीद, कबीर, Bhagat Namdev, Guru Tegh Bahadur. In 700, this compilation was undertaken by Guru Tegh Bahadur, son and his successor Guru Gobind. Guru Tegh Bahadur's son and successor, Guru Tegh Bahadur's son and successor Guru Gobind Singh. It is now this compilation was authenticated by Guru Tegh Bahadur's son and successor Guru Gobind Singh. It is now known as Guru Granth Sahib, the holy scripture of the Sikh. The number of the Baba Guru Nanak's followers increases through the 16th century under his successor. They belong to a number of castes, but traders, agriculturists, artisans and craftsmen predominated. This may have something to do with the Baba Guru Nanak's insistence that his followers must be householders and should adopt productive and useful occupation. They were also expected to contribute to the general fund of the community of followers. An earlier manuscript of the Guru Granth Sahib. By the beginning of the 17th century, the town of the Ramdaspur Amritsar had developed around the center of Gurudwara called Harmandir Sahib Golden Temple. It was virtually self-governing. 17th century 16 में the town of Ramdaspur, जिसे कहते हैं अमृतसर, had developed around the central Gurudwara called Harmandir Sahib Golden Temple. It was virtually self-governing, and modern historians refer to the early 17th century Sikh community as a state within the state. The Mughal Emperor Jahangir looked upon them as a potential threat, and he ordered the execution of the Guru Arjan. In 1606, the Sikh movement began to get politicized in the 17th century, a development which culminated in the institution of Khalsa by Guru Gobind Singh in 1699. The community of the Sikhs called the Khalsa Panth became a political entity. The changing historical situation during the 16th and the 17th century influenced the development of the Sikh movement. The ideas of Baba Guru Nanak had a huge impact on the development from the very beginning. He emphasized the importance of the worship of one God. He insisted that the caste, creed, gender was irrelevant for attaining the liberation. His idea of liberation was that not that of a state of inert bliss, but rather the pursuit of active life with a strong sense of social commitment. His idea of liberation was not that of a state of inert bliss. His idea of liberation was not that of a state of inner bliss, but rather the pursuit of active life with a strong sense of social commitment. He himself used the term Nam, Dan, Isnan for the essence of his teaching, which actually meant right worship, welfare of others and purity of conduct. His teachings are now remembered as Nam Japna, Hirt Karna, Nam Japna, Kirt Karna and Vand Chakna, which also underline the importance of right belief, worship, honest living and helping others. Okay. He himself used the term Nam, Dan, Isnan for the essence of his teaching, which actually meant right worship, Nam, right worship, Dan, welfare of others, Isnan, purity of conduct. His teachings are not remembered as Naam Japna Kirti Karna Band Chakna, which also underlines the importance of right belief in worship, right belief, worship, honest living, helping others. Thus, Baba Guru Nanak's ideas of equality had social and political implications. This might partly explain the difference between the history of the followers of the Baba Guru Nanak and the history of the followers of the religious figures of the medieval centuries, like Kabir, Ravidas, and Dadu, whose ideas were very similar to those of Baba Guru Nanak. Like Kabir, Ravidas, and Dadu, whose ideas were very similar to that of Baba Guru Nanak. Thank you.